Have everyone wave at the camera, please? Thank you. Now, what if I told you 5 plus 5 plus 5 equals 15 is not the right answer? That was the fate of many students during their 4th grade math test. Now, this question isn't wrong, but it's wrong in the context of the equation. This problem-solving method is designed to teach students different ways to perform early math tasks. It emphasizes critical mathematic thinking, and it's called the Common Core State Standard. It's what our public school students learn every day. While the idea is that Common Core is centered around teaching our youth problem-solving and critical thinking skills, our educators often lack the big picture. Instead, many students' confidence and creativity are being replaced by robotic answers, thanks to the collaboration between standardized testing and Common Core. Today, we will learn the ins and outs of Common Core and how we can improve our education system so students can excel at their fullest potential. Now think back to your elementary, middle, or high school experiences. This is especially applicable to those who attended public school. What would you have changed to make your experience better? Perhaps you wish you were challenged more. Maybe you wanted a more individualized teaching style. These are all factors possible for our future generations, but it's up to you to make a difference. Through this speech, you'll hear me cite various scholarly articles and peer-reviewed journals. That will help shape our understanding of Common Core. We will analyze why students struggle with our current implementation of Common Core, the solution to improve our education system curriculum, and what our future would look like with a new and improved learning method. Take a look at slide 1 for me. We're first going to begin by discussing the challenges that many students face with our current education system. Now, while I could get into the content and curriculum of Common Core, I want to focus on the bigger picture. Now, the goal of Common Core is to give students access to higher education no matter what state or county they live in. It is a national set of standards which is designed to set academic expectations among a group. In other words, Common Core creates a one-size-fits-all learning approach, which we all know isn't practical. Every student learns differently, and education needs to be molded to the student, not the other way around. We can also see that Common Core takes away from teachers' abilities to cater to their classroom and control their classroom. Educators are forced to comply with these national standards, which gives them no freedom to adjust to their individual students' needs. Keep in mind that these ideas are all supported by Dr. Thomas Armstrong, who is an educator, psychologist, and author of over 40 years. Dr. Armstrong talked about the harms of Common Core from the very beginning. According to World Population Review, 4 states listened to him, and they never adopted Common Core. Since then, we have up to 24 states who have began the process of repealing or have already repealed the Common Core legislations. In other words, 62% of states are urgently working towards fixing the damage that Common Core has started. If you're still not convinced, let's reflect on a time before Common Core. A 2008 report shows that the United States public school students fell behind their international peers. As a result, Common Core was adopted as our international benchmark standard. By 2017, a peer-reviewed journal took results from this federally funded study of Common Core. Unfortunately, Common Core fell behind other states without Common Core. Additionally, students who learned with Common Core showed a modest decline in their scores year over year. Now, unfortunately, what we need to look for is a way that we can act to reform our public education system. We're going to continue to fail our youth if we don't act now. You might be wondering, what alternatives are there to Common Core? The solution is quite simple. Take a look at slide 2. Let's discuss how we can improve our education system's curriculum. A great example of this reform is already taking place in Florida. Governor DeSantis eradicated Common Core in 2020. This information is available on Florida's Department of Education website. As DeSantis stated, we've developed clear and concise expectations for students, which allow teachers the opportunity to inspire young Floridians. This is made all possible thanks to Florida's best standards. These standards give the power back to the teacher and the parent, who know their students' needs best. Although you might argue that Florida's public school results have declined this past year, according to district state results. Experts say that this is only due to the pandemic. It's not an effective measure of Florida's best standards. Take a look at Virginia, for example. They never adopted Common Core. The National Report Card states that their pre-pandemic fourth grade writing performance sat at a 247. On the other hand, Alabama adopted Common Core when it was started. Their score sits at 230. The difference between Common Core and non-Common Core states is dramatic. So, what will results look like when a pandemic does not influence our grades? Move over to slide 3, please. Let's visualize a future where students have greater opportunities to thrive in the classroom. First and foremost, think back to my first story about Common Core. If we continue implementing Common Core, our youth's test scores will decline year over year. We'll quickly end up significantly behind our international peers, meaning fewer opportunities and prosperity for Americans' future. However, take a look at Florida, for example. They've removed Common Core from its public education system. Florida's hands-on learning approach ranked them top 3 on the U.S. News education system. If all states work to implement better education for grades K through 12, we develop a society of critical thinkers, problem solvers, and innovators. We wouldn't just rank nationally, we rank globally. As I close this speech, we can reflect on today's 3 main arguments: the challenges students face with Common Core, how we can improve America's education system, and a future where students could thrive with a new and improved learning method. Most importantly, remember that your voice is needed to make a change. Now that you're ready to influence our future's education, there are a few ways you can make a difference. You can vote during your local school board's election, initiate petitions, or my favorite, you could start a local co-op to encourage students to explore their creativity and creative thinking skills. If imagining the success of future generations isn't enough, think about where you would be right now had you had a different educational upbringing. What opportunities and skills would you have today? And is that something you're willing to give your future kids? Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I have, excuse me, I have a quick question. So what do teachers in the classroom think about Common Core, since they're kind of in the front lines of it?
Right. So many teachers argue that they're becoming cookie cutter teachers. They feel like their kids and their students are also becoming cookie cutter thinkers. It puts you in this box and you can't really break free from the structure that Common Core gives you. So it places a lot of stress on kids as well because it molds with standardized testing. And the emphasis is on test taking. It's not about learning curriculum and what you're attaining. It's about what grades you get on these standardized tests. It goes in line, but teachers argue that there's no individualized learning involved with this. They can't mold the curriculum to each individual student. We all know that we learn differently. I'm sure you can relate to that, especially through your journey at college here. We need different approaches, and Common Core does not allow the teacher to give their students that. So education is overall being controlled, and they're lacking the freedom to inspire new generations and get kids excited about learning.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
Yeah. Why did Florida get rid of the Common Core?
Right, and it goes along kind of with what I was saying about why teachers do not like Common Core. Common Core is all about youth to take class. It's more about, although that's not the original goal, it molded into something that was about test results and taking the test and not understanding the material. It was all about preparing for those exams. A lot of university professors also saw that kids weren't ready for university and college once they came out of the public school system. With Common Core, the way it's structured, there's also no room for parent participation in the child's education. So these parents argue that Common Core was just providing them with mental shortcuts to get through the work and not actually teaching them the curriculum. So many Floridians, for these reasons, were behind DeSantis' reasoning for eliminating Common Core. And there were a lot of the main arguments throughout the debates when DeSantis decided to pull it from our Florida school systems. Do we have any other questions?
I have another question. At the very beginning, you used an example of 5 plus 5 plus 5 equals 15. And you were stating that, like, what if that wasn't correct? So, what is another way to solve that?
Right. So that was a funny question when I came across it. The question was phrased in a way that it said 5 times 3 equals 15, and it should have been answered 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 15. And you can see that on the slide 4. I have a slide there for that. Now, if the question was written 3 times 5 equals 15, 5 plus 5 plus 5 equals 15 would have been correct. It's a very unique way to get students to start thinking about orders of operation and how they'll work on problems once they get into the middle school, except it's very confusing for 3rd and 4th graders to try to figure out this problem when they're going through and they're doing their homework. Because yes, they have the correct answer. They solved the problem. It's just a different way of solving things.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
All right. Well, if there's no last questions, I'll end it here. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone.